Hi, this is Pastor Frank coming to you from the Fight Factory RI here in West Warwick. You know, something that fighters talk about once in a while is throw punches in bunches. And considering the times that we're in, I really felt that this would be a perfect place to come to you today and talk to you just about that. Really experienced guys know that it's not the one shot. You don't look for the one shot. The one shot is really not what's dangerous to you because you can recover from that. But it's a barrage of blows. It's a non-stop, continuous attack, an explosion of violence where one thing leads to another, to another, to another. And you can't recover. And while you're trying to recover from the first, you get hit with the second. Then you get hit with the third and the fourth. And after a while, you're just down. And that's the way it happens. And what you try to do in an encounter is at some point it changes. If you notice, especially untrained people, one will be punching and one will be getting punched. One is hitting, one is getting hit. And what you want to do, if you're the one getting hit especially, is turn that tide, turn it around, and get in the place where you're the one doing the punching. Only very, very experienced fighters ever get to really trade it back and forth, and they're not one dominating the other. Well, that's the way it is in spiritual life as well. In fact, Paul draws an analogy to the Corinthian church, and he says, we don't fight like one that's just boxing against the air. Boxing against the air is fine. Shadow boxing is great, but not when there's an opponent in front of you. And he also says, we're not ignorant concerning the devil's devices. This is something that we encounter in the spiritual realm as well. In the spiritual realm, especially coming from a time where we're involved in fasting, we're involved in praying, we're making spiritual progress. We're coming to a place of growth. We're getting out of old habits. We're getting out of patterns that have been so destructive to us for a long time. When that happens, you will find that you come into one of these barrages of blows. You come into a bunches of punches from the enemy. Let me show you where that happens. In Job chapter 1, it's a great example of it. We see where this happens, and I want to show you just a few things, just point them out to you. In chapter 1 of Job, in verse 14, he says, and there came a messenger unto Job and said, the oxen were plowing and the asses feeding beside them, but the Sabeans fell upon them, and they took them away. Yea, they slew all your servants with the edge of the sword, and only I, have escaped to tell you. And while he was yet speaking, there came another also and said, the fire of God has fallen from heaven. He's burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them, and only I, have escaped to tell you. And while he was yet speaking, there came another and said, the Chaldeans made out 3 bands, and they fell on the camels, and they carried them away. Yea, they slew your servants with the edge of the sword, but only I, have escaped to tell you. And while he was yet speaking, there came another also and said, your sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in the eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness, smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell on the young men, and they're dead. And only I alone, came to tell you. Job rent his clothes, he shaved his head, he fell down on the ground, he worshipped, and said, naked I came out of my mother's womb. Naked I shall return there. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away, and blessed be the name of the Lord. Do you notice here the rapidity? There was no space between the blows. He got hit with one thing that would have been devastating, but he could have taken that. He got hit with another thing immediately after that, but he was able to take that. He got hit with another thing. He got hit with another. When you notice that happening, let me tell you, the devil does not fight his own. It's because you're making progress. It's because you're seeking God. It's because he's working in you and sanctifying and delivering you, and you are coming into your calling in your area where he's chosen you and the things he's chosen you to do. It's because of that that the attacks are coming. And when you see them coming from every direction and you're reeling, you're knocked on your heels, and you don't know what's going on, you don't understand it. Again, we're not ignorant concerning his devices. This is his MO. This is how he does it. This is what he does. But what do? God also gives us a plan of attack. He gives us a plan, and it's in Ephesians chapter 6. In Ephesians chapter 6, he's going to tell us something. I'm going to read a little portion here, and I want you to notice how many times he says stand. He says stand 4 times in just a couple verses. So very, very important. So in Ephesians chapter 6, and starting at verse 10, he says, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. It's not your might. It's not us who fights. We may train in the natural and come into a ring and work out and try to get a little more proficient and be able to defend ourselves. But we don't have that against the enemy. We fight against power. Well, let me read it to you. Put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers of the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. We don't fight the devil on a natural ground. We don't use punches and blows and kicks and things to fight him. The power of God is who fights us for him. The power of God is what pulls down strongholds and does the work. We rely on him. He does the work. He says, wherefore, take the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. And stand therefore, having your loins girded with the breastplate of righteousness, your feet with the preparation of the gospel, taking the shield of faith that you can quench the fiery darts of the enemy, the helmet of salvation, the sword of the Spirit, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching. Watch and pray is what he told his disciples on that night. We're coming into the Easter season. It was that night in Gethsemane when he told them that. Can you watch with me 1 hour? Watch. Watch is not like sitting here in the bleachers and watching a boxing bout. Watching is like a person on duty. Watching, being on duty, keeping abreast of what's going on, what is happening. Do you notice things going on? I know you do. I talk to people. I know what we're going through right now. And we're in a time of great spiritual growth and revival. And in that time, the enemy will fight. We can expect a counterattack. But I'm here from the gym today to tell you that we can turn that tide. We can counter the counterattack. We can turn it over. And the way we do that is by staying to God and let him fight our battles, because it is him. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they're mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. And he says, resist the devil. Resist him. Flee to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee to you. We can turn it. We can go from being the punchy to the puncher. We can win this battle, folks. We can win this. All these fiery trials, Peter says, that come upon you. Don't think it's something strange. It's the way it is. The devil doesn't like you because you are God's child. But you can fight. You can fight. And so much more when you see things happening, coming from every direction. It's like unexplainable. What's going on here? I want you to know, God has already won the victory. He won the victory. 2,000 years ago, in just a couple of weeks will be Easter, when he came out of that grave, he won the victory. He won it not just for him, but he won it for you. He won it for each of us. We have victory today. We can stand at the end, and we can raise our hands like we're in the ring, because God has given us the victory. Well, from the gym, until next time, God bless. That's enough of that. Now I'm out of breath.